Okay, please stay behind and fill out our feedback form when you are done. Okay, so over to you, Daren. Thank you very much for sharing with us today your experiences and your tips and tricks for how to start a tech startup. Okay. Over to you.
Okay, so let's get started. Okay, so hello everyone. Welcome to the talk today. We'll talk about how to start a tech startup. So basically it's about, I'll go through things that I've learned along the way, as well as things I've learned during my time in Magic that I summarize and pick out the important ones for you to know as a tech student. Okay. So let me start off today with some statistics. You'll be surprised to know that actually 90% of startups fail, and this statistics is quite recent. It is 2020 statistics. Okay, so if you want to visualize that, right, this is how it looks like. So let's say right now in this webinar there is like, I don't know, 30, 40 of you, let's say 30 or 40 of you. So out of 40 startups, you will only have 4 survive. Imagine that out of 40 startups, only 4 will survive after a certain period of time. 36 of them will die off. Okay. So yeah, in this talk, I will be talking about ways you can practice to mitigate this from happening to you. Okay. So a bit of an introduction of myself. I'm a full stack generalist and a data scientist. I'm a pretty techie guy, very hands-on one. Okay. So my experience is on web, mobile app, software development, data science, AI, machine learning, chatbot, blockchain, and also a bit of UI UX design. Okay, all rounder. So personally, I've participated in 14 hackathons, both locally and also abroad in Italy and London. Serial hackathon winner with a cumulative of 6 podium finishes and 4 top 10 finishes, and also a winner of Malaysia's one of Malaysia's prestigious ICT awards, which is the APICTA Award in 2016, and I represented Malaysia to go to Taiwan to pitch. Some other side stuff is that I've founded 2 groups. One is Hackathon Kaki and one is Developer Kaki. For the audiences who don't know these groups or have not joined this group, please do join after this webinar. It is very beneficial for you, especially if you are a developer or if you are an enthusiast for hackathons. Okay. And in the past year, I've been invited to judge in more than 11. I've basically retired from hackathons actually, so I've been invited to judge in hackathons and entrepreneurial events, as well as to give talks on various topics surrounding tech, career, and hackathon. Okay, so on my startup experience, yeah, these are the 4 companies I was involved in the past. Okay, so in 2017 is where I joined my first startup as a technical guru, where I helped to build the platform from ground up. So Bibit is a short form for Bring It Back, whereby it's a platform for shoppers to, for travelers who travel to certain countries to bring back goods, to purchase goods on behalf of those requester. For example, let's say you go to Japan, right? You want to buy the famous limited edition Kit Kat. You can post it on this platform, and after the trip, you come back with the stock as requested by the customer, then you get payment. So it's sort of like an e-commerce platform. Okay. Next, in 2018, I flew to China for this. Flew to China to co-found this cryptocurrency analysis platform called BitCurate. Okay. This was a very hands-on 6 months. So in a short 6 months, although it's quite short, I departed after 6 months due to some personal reasons. But on the 6 months, it was very hands-on. I actually committed full-time to it, night and day. I was involved in the ideation, product market fit, pivoting, and market validation. To share more about it, I actually conducted more than a total of 100 plus user interviews as a combination of both online calls as well as on the streets in Shanghai. Other than that, I've also networked at events there. I built in the hours building the MVP until early morning in 8 a.m. I also got managed teams, the intern team, as well as the software development team, and as well as interviewing countless candidates. That was my first time interviewing other people to join the team. So interview countless candidates to expand the team. I even flew around to pitch, help my CEO to pitch to potential investors in China as well as Hong Kong. Okay, it was a very hands-on period. I learned a lot throughout the process. And after that, I've also joined a client turned good friend of mine in the startup called Wonder Travel. It is a travel booking platform similar to Agoda, Booking.com, Klook, I would say. Similar, but we have our differentiating point, which is where we focus on the more visual first booking experience. Okay, that was lasted for 1 year until the founder decided to pivot from a travel booking website, decided to put it in the back burner and change to a smart hostel. So this smart hostel is a pretty exciting service. This smart hostel in Singapore, it is a fully technological powered hostel where you can unlock doors, you can do the booking online, you can check in with the app, and after that you can unlock the doors and lockers from using your own phone as a digital key. Okay, I was involved in this end-to-end from the start to the end, front end, back end, IoT, Wi-Fi devices, Bluetooth. Yeah. So over the past 4 years, the past 3 years, I've worked very closely with startup as well as co-founded one myself. Okay. So in Magic, joining Magic allowed me to further solidify my understanding and learnings on startups. Okay. So in my day-to-day work, I deal with some web development, some mobile development, a mix of data science and AI, ML as well, to find ways to apply this into building tools for the startup ecosystem. I do a bit of consultancy, represent Magic to ministries and corporate meetings, as well as became account manager for Gap03, our flagship program, accelerator program, and manage 6 startups where we track their weekly metrics and find ways to help them achieve their weekly metrics, to achieve the growth that they plan to have every month. Okay. And other than that, on the Magic Mentorship platform, I was invited to list on that platform. And in the past 1 year, I've mentored more than 20 plus individuals, startups, as well as people from the enterprise on tech advisors, career advisors, IT advisors. Okay. And other than that, given total of judge and given talks in total of 18 hackathons entrepreneurial events. Okay, so that's all about me. So let me talk a bit about you, tech students. Okay, so here's the thing. When I came across in my years of these past few years, right, I noticed this paradox that most non-tech founders or non-tech startup enthusiasts who want to start their own startup, they face. Okay, this is what I term as the product, CTO, and investors paradox. Okay, so what this means? People who doesn't have tech background, right? They will start at the top here. Okay, to start a business, you need to have a product. Then you move on. To have product, you need to build it. To build it, you need to hire a tech guy or a CTO. To hire CTO, you need money. And to have money, you either fork out your own savings or you find angel investors. The first choice is very less common, but still viable. Most I see people offer equity to me to build stuff for them, but I don't really accept that. And of course, if you have to go for the investors route, you need to have functioning product or MVP or some traction of customers and revenue that you have, which you can't have because you don't have a guy to build it and you don't have a product, so you can't show investors. So it's a continuous for loop, I would say. Okay. So this is one of the challenges faced by non-tech people who wants to start their startup. They face this problem, which is very, very common in the market. Okay. So about you guys are from the Help University Tech Club, tech students, I assume. So you guys have an advantage. Okay. So I would say most of you could be from maybe zero or maybe a maker yourself that can create things. Okay, if I ask you to create something, you can create it. So you can create feasible things. However, most students at their fresh grad level or when they finish university or at that level, they most likely are at the maker's level. Only some, when they get exposed to hackathons or they read a lot about it, they will get to the innovator and then the entrepreneur stage. So what is the difference between a maker and how do you get to entrepreneur stage? So an innovator is when you can hack problems. Okay, you know what the problem is. You can identify problems around you in your surroundings, and you can create something that's both doable, feasible, and desirable. Means something that can solve other people's problems. Okay, that's when you become an innovator. However, an innovator does not generate, perhaps it might not necessarily generate a profit, might not be a business. You might be able to innovate on many problems, but you might never become a business, okay? So the difference between innovator and entrepreneur is the business element in it. So for an entrepreneur, when you reach the entrepreneur stage, you can hack opportunities. You don't only see the problem around you, but you can also see what opportunities you have to earn money from solving the problems around you. Okay, the product the startup or the product you make is feasible, is desirable by people. They want to spend money on it, as well as is viable. It is something that can be revenue generating, make you money, full-fledged business basically. Okay, so this is the difference between a zero, a maker, an innovator, and entrepreneur. So in this talk, I'm going to try to introduce you certain knowledge, certain things I've learned along the way that can expose you to what you need to know to level up from an innovator, from a maker to an innovator, and perhaps even an entrepreneur. Okay. So this talk will be about equipping you with some business know-how on how to validate your business idea so that you can reduce your chances of failure, to help you avoid from building a product that you might be excited for, but then in the end, nobody would pay for it, okay? And lastly, to reduce your chances of failure and increase the chances of success, okay? Remember, you guys are tech background and we have a huge advantage over non-tech people because we don't need to find CTOs. We are the CTOs. We just need to equip ourselves with the business know-how, okay? So let's get started with the basics. What is a startup? Okay. So what are the differences between a business and a startup? Okay. So a business, we think like it's a shop. Maybe I can give an example, a hardware shop. Okay. Innovation is not necessarily a requirement or a competitive advantage. The growth of the business is likely linear. Year by year, you might grow, but on a very, very predictable and linear growth, and requires a modest amount of capital. It focuses on addressing local and also global markets, regional markets only, okay? Doesn't really go more than that generally. The jobs are performed locally. Typical example could be F&B services, and often, more than often not, is family business. It's handed down, and the next generation takes care to run it and grow it even bigger. So that's traditional business. Startups, on the other hand, are innovation-driven. Okay? Innovation is a part of the company's DNA and a potential competitive advantage. Okay? You will experience initial loss followed by exponential growth or maybe even failure, depending on how things go, and often requires external equity capital. But this means is, in layman terms, these investors, most often you'll see startups raising funds to facilitate their growth, their user growth. Okay. Next is they focus on global and also in regional markets because they have the vision to expand. Not just, let's say you start in Malaysia, you won't want to stay in Malaysia all this while. You will want to expand from Malaysia to Asia, Indonesia, Vietnam, and so on around you, and of course across the world. Just look at Airbnb, look at Uber, look at Grab, look at so many platforms that the product they create is not only used by a specific country, it's also used by people around the world. Okay, and the jobs are tradable, performed locally or globally, and diverse ownership from founding team, meaning the founding team could have 5 people and the share is split between them. Okay, so when the company is acquired or when the company is acquired for a certain amount of money, you split between the staff or the founding team for a certain amount of money. Okay. So there's 3 ways to build a startup that I've identified. Okay, you can go with method 1, which is to build first, validate later, which is what many people do. Number 2 is to validate your idea first, and then only you build. Okay, and third, of course, is very, very frequent. Throughout all these years, I've seen is to copy validated products in new markets, which is why you will see a lot of people say, hey, I want to build Uber. Back then, let's say, I want to build Food Panda for Sabah, build Food Panda for, they keep using that same term, something that's already available. Back then, it's not available in Malaysia, but they want to be the first to have it in Malaysia. So Of course, you can look at other countries such as China, such as US to see what's not in Malaysia yet. You can be the first one to bring to Malaysia. However, I feel that this sort of falls into category one because you are bringing the business, bringing the tech, the startup, the concept here first. You build it first, and then after you launch, only you start gauging if it's a valuable idea or not a valuable idea. And if like the business can take off or not, if there's revenue, if the customers like it. So it's sort of like build first and validate later. However, this concept or this idea has been shown to work in other markets. Okay. So next, I'll be showing you this very famous graph. Okay, I got this graph from Javelin.com. The original pioneer of this graph is actually Paul Graham. Okay, for those of you who don't know who Paul Graham is the founder of Y Combinator. So Y Combinator is one of the most successful startup investors in Silicon Valley and arguably around the world. It's very, very famous. They have accelerated startups such as Airbnb, Dropbox, Stripe, and many, many more successful startups that you've heard of in your life. Okay. So what's this graph about? So this startup curve is visualized by Paul Graham on the journey of what a startup would commonly face. Okay, a startup would face. So let me explain. So the y-axis here is your happiness level. Okay, you as a founder, this is the y-axis represents your happiness level, while the x-axis represents the time you spend building your startup. Okay, so in the first stage, right before the startup, your happiness is perhaps neutral. And after that, you go to you have initial enthusiasm. You're on the day one when you start to build your product, okay? You feel super excited. You have an idea. You have this idea you thought of, and you know that it will work. You feel very happy, very excited to start building your product, to build your business, to achieve your dreams, to become a startup entrepreneur. You work hard on it every day, thinking that it's the best product that will ever exist. You will make tons of money. You start posting to Facebook about your new startup life, #hustle. But however, after the initial enthusiasm, reality starts to set in. Okay, so most of the startups go through this stage called throe of sorrow. So what this means is your happiness level, your enthusiasm falls down. You feel okay. So what happens here is that you work harder than you've ever been before, maybe 25 hours a day. On launch day, you start to get some feedbacks, you get some customers. You are progressing definitely, but you might not have big enough achievements to show for. Okay, not many big customers, not big names, not maybe no home runs. Okay, revenue that you earn in this stage might not be able to cover your costs. That makes some uncertainty in your business, and you're not sure whether you can succeed or not. Okay, so if this stage drags on and you're not doing anything, you're going on the same path, not making enough profit to cover, you incur losses, and you have no salary to pay yourself for months, which is very suffer. Okay, so at this point in the trough of sorrow, it is a very difficult, it is a very stressful and depressing time. Okay, many or maybe some throw in the towel and give up at this point, but every successful startup goes through this stage. Okay, however, in the trough of sorrow, if you do experimentation and pivoting, meaning based on what feedbacks you receive, based on what you analyze, what data you've collected from your trials and failures, you start to pivot a little bit here and there, as in to tweak your product, to tweak your business model, to tweak your business. You reach eventually successful companies that survive the trough of sorrow, reach this magical point called the product market fit. So a product market fit is when you have the right product, you found the right product, and you found the right fit in the right market. Okay, so how do you get there? So some of them you have to experiment, you have to pivot. So some of them make some changes to the pricing model, some make some changes to product offering, some introduce new features that addresses customers' problems. And here is when you see changes. Things are starting to pick up. Some things work, some things doesn't work. You keep trying, reiterating. And slowly things start to pick up, and this is where you found product market fit. This is the point where you see, like in news articles, where you see startups get very famous, scale up a lot, become like an overnight success. Okay, everything changes when you reach the product market fit. So this is the most important thing when you are building your startup. You need to find product market fit. Okay, so from here on onwards, all you need to do is to just scale up, hire more staff, expand your company, expand your offices, expand, of course, take care of the tech architecture to make sure it's scalable for all the new users. Okay, so after seeing the curve, right, let me share with you that actually it's quite obvious that most startup fails because they cannot find product market fit in time. What does it mean by in time? So probably most of the time it's like they couldn't find a product market fit before they run out of capital and they burn, or because they psychologically or physically burn out before they found it. You just call it quits and just want to go back to their normal lives. Okay. So one thing I want to remind you here is that a great product is useless if you cannot find the right market for it. You can build the most high-tech AI, the most advanced biotech or whatever AI, 5G, IoT technology that you can think of. I mean, it definitely solves a problem, but if you don't have the market, you don't have the customers to afford or to want to pay for it, the product is useless. You cannot make a business using this product, okay? So a great product will still fail if you have the wrong market for it, okay? So what if I told you there is a better way to go about this startup journey curve, okay? So here's a graph that I modified, okay? So the approach I'm going to share with you today is what I call the improved startup curve that you can experience yourself if you practice something called lean startup method, okay? It encourages the one-liner layman term of this lean startup method is that it encourages you to identify your value proposition first, and yeah, it comes with many other steps that I explain later in slides. So in lean startup method applied, before you start building anything, before you start your journey, before you write your first line of code, started investing money and you started investing money and time to code the product out, you would really want to start by experimenting and pivoting first, okay? Start by experimenting and pivoting so that you don't have to go through, building the product first, and then when you launch it, you spend months to build this product, and when you launch it, you found that there's some problem here, problem there, and you see that there's also problem not the technical problem. Problem is like the customers not really buying it. There's no customers who demand and want to pay for it. So it would be great if you can experiment and pivot first, apply startup methodology, and then you can skip the startup throw where you feel unhappy, where things not really picking up, not many traction, not many customer and sales. Okay. So let me share with you how to achieve this later in this presentation. Okay. So lean startup is actually one of the 8 famous ideation process models. So I'm sure some others you've heard of is business model canvas. This is famously introduced in startup weekends in Malaysia and also around the world. Design thinking is also another method that's very famous. Double Diamond, Hero's Journey, NABC, needs approach, benefits and competition. I've given this talk recently to Sunway iLabs. Open close model, Sarasti, principles of fluctuations, and lastly, lean startup. Okay, so these 8 process models each have their pros and cons, each have a different approach for you to successfully bring your idea to life and into a successful business. Okay. So for today, I only focus on the lean startup method. Okay, so the founder of lean startup method is Mr. Eric Rice over here. So one liner about lean startup is that it isn't about being cheap. It isn't just about being cheap. It's about being less wasteful with your time and money while still doing things that are meaningful in a big way. Okay. So some benefits of lean startup method is that it allows you to work smarter, not harder. You don't need to spend hundreds of days to build your product only to find out that there's no product market fit. You can validate your idea in just a matter of hours to days to weeks. So that stops you from wasting time building in the wrong direction, as well as to help you eliminate uncertainties about whether your product is in demand, whether your product is good, is it addressing the right problems. Okay. It allows you to be more innovative and allows you to be more successful at the same time. Okay, so sounds like a very magical method, right? So essentially, what lean startup method is simplified in this diagram here. So you have your ideation. There's no shortage of ideas. Let's say everyone have their own ideas that you think of. Okay, you have your ideas in the ideation stage. Then you take a leap of faith. You build. But what you build is you don't build the full product on the first day. Okay, on the first day you should build. What you should build is your MVP. MVP stands for minimum viable product, which is the minimum effort needed to build something that you can represent what your idea, and then it will help you to get customer feedbacks. Okay, so that's what you get in the measure stage. So after you launch your MVPs, right, make sure you have all the methods or channels to capture feedbacks and data. So in the measure stage, after you gather data after launching your MVP, you want to measure what you get. Right? Could be user page views, users pre-order, users actual complaints or feedbacks. From there on, after you get all this data, you can gather insights, and then you learn from the data that you've gathered. Okay, you can choose to do two things at this stage, at the learning stage. You can either choose to preserve your idea, tweak things here and there, still with this idea, but you want to tweak certain things that you've gathered from the feedback, so that your idea can be fixed. Then you build the next version of your MVP that's improved based on the feedbacks from the customer, from the market, from the data. And that's step one, which is to preserve. Step two, on the other hand, is to pivot. So why pivot? I will show you in a following section. However, in short, after learning from the feedback of the customer, it really die cannot go. This method, this idea really, from the feedback, there's no positive feedback at all. There's no user demand at all. After you build several MVPs, there's really no way to continue on this idea, but you still want to take what you learned to build something that's useful. All you need to do is pivot. Okay? You need pivot as in you change idea completely. However, that idea is built based on the feedbacks that you've actually received from actual customers. Okay, so I'll be talking about ways to build an MVP here. So there's three ways to build MVP. Okay, I will share you the 3 steps taught by Lean Startup Method and Lean Startup Machine. So in this section, there will be 3 different steps. The first step is customer interviews, where you run customer interviews either by calling or by doing face-to-face interviews to gather feedbacks. You can run pre-orders for your product or services that might not necessarily be built. This is similar to what you see in Kickstarter and Indiegogo, as well as you can start to build low-tech products, which means that you don't really need to fully code the thing out. Just need to find some mock-up or some sort of whichever method that involves the lowest requirement of tech, so that you can build it fast, change it fast, using the least amount of time and the least amount of code and resources at the time. Okay, so let me go in depth. Step 1 in customer interviews, right? Let me start with MVP. What is MVP for in the first place? Okay, MVP is for you. It's a way for you to learn from your customers if you are going in the right direction. Okay, too many startups, too many people, too many founders I've seen message me, and also those I've read online. They spend too much time, too much fixation to want to build first. They want to build the thing out first. Only they go out to find customers. In Lean Startup Method, this is not. Lean Startup Method works the opposite way. Okay, so MVP doesn't have to necessarily be a product that can be held or can be used. It can be in any form as long as it helps your customer understand the product, understand what it does, experience it perhaps, and then on your side you get to learn about your customers, what they want, what they like about the product, what they hate about the product, what they want to improve in the next version, and what amount would they pay for this product. Okay, so that's like the first stage. The first stage is customer interview. So in customer interview, right, it can be done both ways. Either you do it online in Skype, Google Meet, or whatever, or you can also go out on the streets at events to talk to customers, to interview them. Okay. Personally, I prefer to talk to them face to face, either video call or face to face in the real world, so that you can actually gauge their expression. Sometimes through phone or through text, you can't really gauge the person's expressions or intent. Sometimes what they say and what they express, what they really feel is different. Okay. So in this stage, what's important, right, is to conduct customer interview with the right customers. Okay. Okay, so what's important here is to create customer interview with the right segment of customers. So what this means, right? Example, let's say you have a startup that targets, let's say it's a very simple, let's do something stupid. Let's say a baby diaper, okay? So to want to find out feedbacks about baby diaper, how you innovate on this product, or know what the users' pain points are, you wouldn't be looking for people who don't use baby diapers. You won't be interviewing teenagers. You won't be interviewing old citizens, or you will be interviewing very specific customers. Women, yes. Parents, very specific women. Pregnant women, not really. I mean, women that has children, that has a baby, a growing adult, a growing child that uses that that has a pain point in that area. Okay. So what I'm trying to say here is that user interviews you should conduct with the right segment of customers so that you can get the right feedback. People who don't actually use the product, or don't actually face this problem, they can't give you the real pain points, and sometimes that will cause you to move in the wrong direction. Okay, you get the wrong feedback, you act on the wrong feedback, you get the wrong direction. Okay, so make sure you get the right customers. So for me back then, it was really tough because it was a cryptocurrency startup. So I needed to find people who actually used and either use, develop, invest in cryptocurrency. So this back then was quite a niche market. Not many people among my friends who have it. So you need to find out in specific Facebook groups, specific crypto events, specific crypto communities. You need to find these people out and contact them, schedule interviews with this specific segment of customers that's related to your industry, the product you're trying to build. Okay, so the importance of this stage is that it lets you verify if you're in the right direction, targeting the right customers, solving the right problems that they are facing. So next, in stage 2, in the pre-order stage, this is typically what you see in Kickstarter and Indiegogo. Okay, so this most typically a product that doesn't exist yet, but you start to, it's something like MVP. You post out the renders, you post out the 3D mockups, the AutoCAD. You try to. It's exactly what you see in Kickstarter and Indiegogo. You see the product description, the features, the value proposition. It sort of attracts you to want to pre-order this product. Of course, the maker will give you a certain period of time saying that this pre-order will take 6 months to a year or 3 months to deliver. It's fine. The product doesn't exist, but people start paying money. So you see people raise millions and millions of dollars through Kickstarter and Indiegogo. Okay, so for tech people like us, we can also do something like creating a simple landing page that introduces your product, services, or pricing plans, and start receiving either sign up in pre-order interest or actually receiving payments itself for pre-order. Okay. However, if things doesn't work out, okay. If things doesn't work out, let's say even after you collected money, somehow during building the product, you find out, there's some technical difficulty, or there's some really 3D hardware problem, or the concept is really just too far-fetched to be realized at this time. Like some people want to build, they can't recall, something impossible, something that sounds super good on paper, sounds super good in Indiegogo on the proposal, it sounds super good, but when they actually start to build it in that pre-order period, they realize, hey shit, this thing cannot be done. It's impossible at this point of time. Technology hasn't exists yet. So what happens if things go wrong, doesn't work out? Just refund actually. In Indiegogo and Kickstarter, people do have projects that fail, projects that didn't hit the amount of target. They just refund the customers. No harm done. If people might want to sue you or something, to avoid this, you can also sign purchase orders, which is what Kickstarter provides when you pre-order there, as well as non-binding letters of intent. Okay, intent to purchase. So having pre-order, right, is one step higher than customer interview. Customer interview, you just stop on it, just paint them an idea, show them some pictures, right? Pre-orders is when you want to start to show more very detailed, it's as if it's the actual product itself, but you haven't built it yet. You paint out all the details, all the pros and cons, the features, the value it brings. Okay, that's when the customers that thinks that it's an actual product will want to buy it. If it's a very good product, they want to buy it. That solves their problem, they really want to buy it. So this can serve as a very valuable metrics for yourself as well as for investors when you want to get funding, because this serves as a form of traction, a measure of interest, genuine measure of interest I mean, how else would people be confident enough to throw money at you when the thing doesn't exist yet, right? It shows that they have immense interest to be first adopters. So next, the next stage in this MVP stage is low-tech products. So low-tech product is when you actually build the product. However, you don't go all in, code all out, using the database, using the architecture, the server, build everything. No, in lean startup method, is you don't go this way. You try to build the product or the MVP out with the lowest tech as possible. Okay. So what this does is, based on the feedbacks that you've extracted, you've gathered from step 1, customer interviews, and step 2, pre-orders, all this data, all these feedbacks, all these reactions from customers that you've gathered, use all of those data to build the product that addresses specifically each of those pain points, okay? Help them refine your problem statement, refine your solutions to solve exactly those problems, okay? So you don't end up building things. The most important part of this is you don't end up building things. You think it's super cool, you think it's super high tech, super cutting edge, very cool, AI machine learning stuff. But in the end, it doesn't really solve, it comes out to not really solving the customer's wants or the customer's needs, okay? So in the low-tech product, build it using as minimum as low-tech as possible, based on the data you've gathered. Measure feedback always in lean startup method, always measure your feedbacks, get feedback, and then continuously to tweak, to iterate based on those feedbacks, okay? So you might be wondering, why after getting all these solid ideas, all these solid feedbacks, and why still want to go with low-tech products, right? I know we are all tech people here, can build our stuff easily, okay? So here's a typical software development course in the US, shared by the founder of Lean Startup Machine and Javelin.com, which I'll share later as well, on the typical software development course in the US, okay? So before you go all out to develop the product from ground up, the first line of code, the first server setup, everything, I know as builders, as hackers, you would be really excited and want to build the thing, but in this method, take it slow, identify the pain point, identify the exact problem first, okay? So as you can see here, what I'm trying to show here in this slide is that there's different types of apps, okay? Different complexities. So zero tech takes a short amount of time to do, no code, no code platforms, 1 to 7 days, can be free of charge, can be the lowest of tech. So, however, in the US, for a very simple app, let's say it's displaying information or receiving some signups and login, some very simple function is already 50,000. For a simple app, perhaps like e-commerce, travel booking stuff, it will take a timeline of 4 to 8 months for you to build it out until it's complete, until you can be ready for the users, and you might already spend 250K USD in the US, okay? And a normal app, full-fledged app, with all the features that you could ever imagine, could go up to $1 million. Let's say Facebook, let's say Twitter, all these big apps that they spend tens of millions or billions in tech development. So all this one will take like months to even more than a year to create out the product, that product that you envision, that you think the customer might want or might not want. You create it out, launch it, and then what happens if customer don't like it? What if it's not a hit, right? You have wasted 12 to 18 months, you have wasted $1 million US. Okay, so what this startup method encourages you to do is to prevent this. Okay, everything that recommended by this startup method is how you prevent going in the wrong direction, wasting time and money to build a product nobody wants to pay for. Okay, so these are just US figures. In Malaysia, it's much cheaper. You can actually replace the currency maybe. You can also engage cheaper talents if you want to scale a team. Just for your info, you can get cheaper talents in Vietnam, Thailand, Indonesia, India, but the quality varies and also there's communication barrier, right? Malaysians generally are multilingual. We can speak multiple languages. However, in other countries, they may not have the same command of English as well as multilingual. So you might face some problems in communications there, as well as the quality of software engineering. Okay, although we are all tech people, right? We don't need to spend money to develop stuff. However, what we could lose out in terms of opportunity cost is time. Okay, the amount of time, maybe 8 months, maybe 18 months, we tech people who have been earning big paychecks, we've missed out on that. To build this idea that we have, we could have spent 8 months, 10 months, 18 months to build out this product. Wow. And if it doesn't work out, it's a waste of time. The amount of time could have been used to earn paychecks in proper job in the MNC, right? Yeah, and also you take out money from your own pocket to spend on servers and on software to develop the products. Okay, so the conclusion here is to validate with low tech first, so that you can make changes easily, make changes with less money, and fix the direction of the product. Okay. So okay, I'd like to focus your attention to share this very funny story. Okay. So Hello Gas started off in 2016 as GrabGas. It is a very famous local startup. They were very famous back then in 2016. Back then, even I haven't delved into the startup world yet, and I started reading about them. They were famous because of the scandal that happened between the CTO and the other co-founders. A huge scandal. If you want to read about it, I provided a link down there in Malcolm Post. It will lead you to the best part to read about it is, of course, from the both official statement from both sides. It's like bloody long. It will take you like 30 minutes to read each of their story. Get a popcorn ready. It's super interesting. Okay. However, here I want to focus your attention to low tech solution case study. Okay. So what this startup do is it delivers gas because in Klang Valley, right? Most of the residents live in condominiums, multiple stories. You don't have those lorries with gas tank going around the back lane of houses to buy gas. It's very troublesome to carry gas from the ground floor from Kedai Runcit. But traditionally, you have to go Kedai Runcit to buy the petroleum gas you use to cooking gas at home. You buy them from Kedai Runcit, put in your car, drive back home, parking. From parking, you have to drag, carry a heavy tank to elevator. From elevator, carry a heavy tank, go up to your house, and set it up yourself. Okay. So what GrabGas try to solve is to solve this problem. So they make it into you can order either through phone or through the website cooking gas. You can choose from multiple brands. Pricing is transparent. They'll deliver to your doorstep. Very good idea. Okay. So how they started? They started with a very, very low tech solution because they don't have a CTO. They don't have a CTO, but yet they started their business. They started to have product. They started to do gas deliveries, receive booking, started gas delivery. So this is what is classified as low tech solution. So an article shared by the CTO that was screwed over. Okay, he did some expose Okay, he said from the outside the team was very good at making things seem like they were doing very well, making very good progress. But in reality, if you could see what I've seen, there's nothing concrete. The company was just an intern staring at a JSON text dump of order data, which came from the website, booking website that they have. Perhaps you can key in the customer name, phone number, delivery address, petrol tank, and quantity. Okay, the basic info you need to make a gas booking. From there, the intern will look at the JSON data and then put in an Excel sheet probably, and then based on each order they will be picking up phone to call the drivers, the cooking gas provider and riders to arrange delivery whenever order comes in manually. So they have a simple landing page to receive orders, and then the human behind the scene calling up the supplier to deliver to the end user, and they're receiving revenue from this. Okay, this is what you call low tech solution. So just to clarify, so to expand more, right? How successful was GrabGas in the beginning, right? They really got 100K investment from DG. They went through a startup accelerator called DG Accelerate from Thailand. Yes, it's a 4 months intensive boot camp from May to August 2016 in Bangkok, Thailand. They graduated and they got 100K investment from DG. Bloody hell, just with minimum tech. However, as I mentioned, they were involved in a huge scandal in the startup world back then. The huge argument, expose instability, perhaps fake data or fake marketing, data provided to investors. DG had to pull out funding from them. Okay, so despite all the setbacks, all the negative press, negative news of pulling out all these negative news in the media, in the Facebook community, in the Facebook busy putting out 100K funding. Yet in 2020, I just checked today actually. Their last Facebook page post was 7th June. They're still alive after 4 years, after all these feedbacks and setbacks that they faced, scandals and controversy. It's the worst thing that you could imagine to happen to a startup at the early stage. But yet they persevered, and the business model works, and they're still running today. Okay. So next, I will share about pivoting. So as I mentioned earlier, after gathering the feedbacks, after going through the 3 stages of MVP, if you've received no positive feedback, you receive zero demand, you receive really your current idea just no one will pay for. However, you did receive data, you did receive feedback, insights, analysis on what customers actually want, right? Although you know both things, you know what customers want and you know what customers don't want. So you can actually use what you've gathered to pivot. Pivot means to change idea completely. However, the idea you change to will not be a waste of your time in the process so far. You'll be utilizing the data you collected, you'll be using what you've learned to create a product, to pivot to a product that will actually work based on user feedback. Okay. So the point here is to learn from all feedbacks, from all 3 steps, and iterate or pivot if necessary. So let me share with you some famous pivots of the century. Okay. Okay, so here are 5 famous startups, famous platforms that you even might use yourself every single day. Started out as, okay, these are famous pivots that happen in the startup world. What they are today is nothing like what they started. Okay, so let me start with Flickr. Flickr is the photo sharing website that everyone knows and loves. They started off actually as an online game. We did that from online game to photo sharing services, photo sharing and photo hosting. Okay, personally, I used Flickr to share my photography album last time, to get noticed by pros and to get hired for photography work last time. Okay, so they pivoted from that to this. Facebook is everyone uses Facebook. So Facebook started out not. You might have heard that they started out as a inter-campus in the US, inter-university social network, but actually that's not even the first version of Facebook. The first version of Facebook started off as FaceMatch. FaceMatch is, later I'll show you in the next slide. It's a website to label. They give you 2 pictures of girls, whether it's hot or not. You just click on the hotter one. Okay, it says hot or not. Very superficial thing and very stupid thing, but that's how they started. Groupon is Groupon is currently in Malaysia. It's known as Fave. Merged with Groupon already, where they provide vouchers and cashback for your loyalty to the certain establishment. So it's a lot of social activism platform called thepoint.com. Next, YouTube. YouTube is very surprising. You wouldn't have guessed. It was started out as a dating site, a video dating site, meaning that you would connect with your potential date with a video call. Okay, that's their value proposition when they first started out. And throughout iterations of changes, of customer feedback, they pivoted into the hugest, largest $100 billion generating company they are today. Okay, and lastly, Twitter. Twitter started out as a podcasting audio sharing platform, similar to something like Spotify, I would say, perhaps the podcast called Audio. From Audio, they pivoted into Twitter, the microblogging platform that is so huge today. Impact the world, impact how people communicate, impact politicians, how the world political campaign runs. Okay, so pivoting is normal. Pivoting, startups have to go through pivoting sometimes to get to where they are today. Okay, so here's exactly what FaceMatch was. Okay, it's a site, very simple site, Mark Zuckerberg built to let people rate girls hot or not. And this is Facebook today. Big difference, right? That's the result of pivoting. Okay, so here are some diagrams on why you should pivot. Okay, so initially your first round of the lean startup method, you found your customer, you interview them. They might have several problems: problem A, problem B, problem C, problem D. However, not all problems are worth to solve. Not all problems they will be willing to pay money for to be able to solve. Okay, some might lead you to some problems are worth solving. Okay, however, this problem once you solve, you find just a small amount of money to be earned here. Then you try again, try a different problem. Okay, maybe this problem. But no money to be earned here. Then lastly, you try a third time, a different problem that the customer face in their life, something something very urgent, very severe for them. Then you'll be starting to find that's bigger and bigger. The different ways you solve it will earn you different amount of revenue. Okay, so that's why from from a singular customer feedback, you can identify several problems that can be different branches of businesses. So another problem I solved, another problem I've encountered people, they're very scared to share their idea. Especially non-tech founders, they're very scared to share in public, very scared to share to the tech people, the CTOs, worry that they might steal the idea. So for this part, what this time to show you is that ideas are just ideas, okay? What matters is actually the execution. So as you can see, bad idea, -1, okay idea, maybe 5 points, good idea, brilliant idea is, here's the weightage. Maximum is give you 20 if you get the most brilliant idea. However, the most brilliant idea you have, if you have bad execution, it will only earn you this much. No matter how good of an idea, how good of a product you have, if you execute it badly, you don't find the right market fit for it, you will only get limited revenue. However, if an idea given to a team who can execute really well, the same idea can be executed by multiple people. So for example, in the world today, in the market today, you can see food delivery is an idea, right? It's done by who? GrabFood, Foodpanda, Deliver Eat, and many more other small players. Okay, each of them wanting to grab a market share of this market, and it depends on who executes it the best. That's where the customers will retain. Okay, so it's all about the execution. Idea multiplied by execution is your business. Okay, bad idea, good execution, no good. Good idea, bad execution is bad business. Okay. So what's the relationship between these three? I'm going to introduce you to Daren.com, but before I introduce you to Daren.com, I don't you understand what it is. So Lean Startup Method is what I've been talking about. Lean Startup Machine is a series of workshops run around the world to teach people about Lean Startup, physical workshops around the world. Daren.com is created by the founder of Lean Startup Machine, which is a platform for you to practice Lean Startup Method. It is a very nice platform. I will demonstrate you next on how to use this platform to validate your ideas, to practice what I've just shared with you in the past half an hour. Okay, let me change my screen to the browser. Okay, hope you guys can see my screen. Okay, see, I have my old startup here. Let's start with a new project. Let's say I have not planned any of this, so I have no idea. Let's start with food delivery now, okay? Hungry, very hungry. Actually, I'm very hungry right now. Vision is, what's your inspiration? So why do you want to come up with this? Many hungry people, lazy to get food. Okay, so this is all ad hoc. Oh, by the way, Daren.com, you have a free plan, you have the founder plan, so on and so on. However, I'll be demonstrating you is a free platform and the features of the free platform. Okay? You can get most of the important features that I mentioned previously as available already in the free version. Okay, so over here, exactly like I said, problem exploration, social testing, product stage. Okay, so what stage is your startup? You can start at different stages. This product is built, this Daren.com is how you to build, start to use Lean Startup method at different stages of the startup. So let's start with the very early stage now, okay? Problem exploration, choose if you haven't done any interviews at all. So the main activity around here would be customer interviews. You have to find your major customer segment and the major problem that you want to solve with your startup, okay? Goal is to complete 3 sets of interviews consisting of 15 interviews each. Okay, so the guide, this Daren.com encompasses Lean Startup method, and they digitalize it to help you learn about it very easily, to practice it very easily. Okay. So here's the interface, very clean interface. So here's the problem statement. Okay. So first, start by defining customer hypothesis. So what is the problem that you assume your customers are, who your customers are, and what your customers are facing? Okay. First is target customers. Let me think. Lazy M40s, lazy, hungry. Let's say M40s. Sorry, let's say working adults. Okay, working adults is better. Customer segment, broad category, working adults. Okay. So what segments of working adults you have? You have the healthy, health-conscious people. You have the lazy people. Just don't really care on the they just want. No, they just thrifty people, cost-conscious people. Okay, is better. So, okay, it generates out for you a way for you to ideate your problem statement. So in the working adults category, you can have any category. Can be have single mom, can be young children, petrol station. I mean, can be any category you can think of. Okay. However, under this category, you specify what kind of subcategories they are. So perhaps under working adults, they are health conscious people, and perhaps they have cost conscious people who are lazy to get food. So have a problem. What problem? Or need or desire. That's a problem. Really bad problem. Define the problem. Okay, so this is a free text. So have a problem to get healthy food. Cost-conscious people to get food delivered affordably, cheaply. Okay. Next, over here, you click here. You ask you how frequent your customer face this problem. So you think you need to eat, right, when you're at work. Maybe sometimes you're too busy not to go out to eat, not able to drive, or you have a car. So this frequency is daily, once or more. How severe? If you're really health conscious, there's only KFC and all the restaurants near you, major. Same. If you cannot find how expensive Grab food and Foodpanda charges are, if it's expensive to you, major. These are your assumptions, okay? It's not really customer interview yet. How long will it take for you to find your first 20 customers? So to interview, okay? So you define health conscious people, you define cost conscious people, okay? So perhaps give me a few days, then you can start interview, okay? Your target is 20 interviews, but you can first set lesser than that, so let's say 5 interviews. So health conscious people have problems to get healthy food delivered to them. So what's your learning objective? And yeah, so Kiavin.com provides you an interview script already predefined for you. Interview script. You just need to conduct the interview or interview face to face using these 10 questions, and you'll learn a lot of important points about your customers. Okay, depending on what's your learning objective, you want to know if the customer has this problem. It's your first round. Okay, second round you want to know, okay, they have this problem, but how deeply they care. When you change this, then the script will change accordingly. So you can find a different way. Another way you'll find is customer really has a solution that's good enough, or how you can be better than what they're currently using, the way they're currently using to get food delivered, or does the customer think that it is important and the solution that you offer is good enough, or it is better than existing product. Okay, so you can also freelance edit yourself and save and start interviews. Okay. So what happens here? You bring to the second tab, which is product interviews. Here you have Trevor Owens, the founder of this platform, to explain to you how to run the interview. Full tutorial, very good tutorial. Here you can start to new interview, and you can key in the data here. And you can, here got two options. Here you can actually call them online, or you can also use a platform called Mechanical Turk to get help. They will help you to get customers to interview. Basically, like crowdsource, they will have Mechanical Turks, people with different category of real human beings, by the way, for you to interview, which costs money lah. So it's best to find your own friends and have a call interview like this. Built-in call. Oh, it used to be free, now it's paid. So never mind, you can conduct it out of this. You can always conduct the interviews out of the platform, okay? But after you conduct in Google call, phone call, whatever call you're doing, fill in the details here. It's all for your own learning. Okay, so that's problem interview. That's the first step of your MVP, is to do customer interview. So what if you already done the interview, completed like 20, 30, 40, 45 interviews? For me, back then I did 100 interviews. So after you've done the interviews, right, you're going to start building your landing page. So this stage, right, generalist.com is very good. They let you create a landing page on their platform. Okay, very simple, don't even need to code. So let's say I want to test this time, this landing page is to target health conscious people. So the product name or idea is very hungry, hungry, healthy. Let's say this new product, okay, hungry, healthy. Goal. Let's target for, to test market, to test water, to know what is your goal of success. After you created this landing page, you have to start to key in the value proposition, the features, the benefits, and so on. Make it like exactly a legit website. Then you have a deadline. You want to target to have sign up. So let's say I aim for 20 sign ups maybe in 2 weeks. Okay, I'll be promoting this to friends and family, to potential customers, those I've interviewed before, or in Facebook communities, healthy Facebook community. Okay, create landing page. All right. So here they give you starter template. So they have a premium. They give you nicer one. So here they give you a starter template, which is very basic, but it's good enough to test your business idea. So tada, here you have. You just need to click, edit text, and you really get, you get a perfect landing page, simple landing page. You can see pricing plans, can see, testimonials, can show your user what is it, how it works, about the company, as well as some pricing plans. Let's say you want meal delivery, starter, free, premium, edit. Okay, very good. So this is part of generalist.com. Save preview, and you can edit, or you can view it and continue edit confirmation. So here's the confirmation page. Once users sign up, you can edit this page as well. It's super convenient. Trevor did a very good job building this platform. Save confirmation and publish. So it has been published. And how is it accessible? You can access it through this URL over here. So here is a campaign started. They give you 15 days, which is what I said just now, to get 20 people to sign up, to give their emails to be notified when this service is launching. So these gauges give you a feel how great is your product actually before you actually start building it. How great is your idea and how many people actually want it. Okay, you can track how many people give your emails. You can mark done when it's done. You can use Google Ads to enhance, show up in people's Facebook or Instagram ads. Okay, so that's for landing page. Next, product market fit. So in the stage 3 and stage 2, I told you that you need to collect data, right, on what the users' feedbacks are, on what you have, your idea. So you can actually run product market fit survey. Let's say health conscious people, survey name is June survey. Let's say June survey health. Then we can have product services. Product services. Oh, these were the test name I used just now to test this platform. So product services. Okay, hungry health. Goal. What's my goal here? The survey would be to get 50, let's say, and then deadline I give myself. It's always good to have deadline so that you don't procrastinate and end up never finishing it. So they have a deadline which will remind you to finish, and there you have it. You have your survey. You can share the link right here. Your users will have a very, I believe, a very very good predefined template of questions that will help you understand their feedbacks towards your product, your idea. There you go. Can be in English, can be in Chinese. How I discovered hungry health, blah, blah, blah. What's the primary benefit? Will you recommend to anyone? See, all these are very good, very tested interview questions, survey questions that will help you learn a lot about your customer, on how they think, how they feel about your product. As well as you can also add question on how much should you pay for this service so they can know how much, out of 1,000 replies, how much to price your product, so that you don't end up underpricing your product and make losses for user growth, or you don't charge too high and end up not getting the signups that you want. Okay, so yeah, that's it. 1, 2, 3, 4 stages. Very good platform. You can start to use it for your own ideas, start to run it, and that's what you see your projects lah. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so that's all for generalist.com. Feel free to sign up. It's actually free, very easy to remember. Name. I heard they spend like 70,000 K to USD to buy this domain name. Okay. Okay, so let's go back to the slides. Okay. So now another part where I think the next part. So that's all for the startup method. That's all I have to share with you today. So let's move on to the last two part, pitch deck. So I believe that as tech people, as tech background, you might not necessarily know how to pitch. You might not necessarily know what you need in your pitch deck. So I'll be showing you how. So normally, if you are a tech student that has joined hackathons, you will know that these are the essentials, 7 things that you need in your hackathon pitch. However, in an investor's pitch, a business pitch, you need more than this. What you need is I would call it the business pitch element, basically. So in a hackathon pitch, you need introduction, findings, problem statement, solution, how you're going to solve the problem you identified, market validation, as in, is there really a need for your problem, for your solution, product demo, and if you have mock-up, even better, and also what's the benefit of your idea of the project. Okay, so this pitch deck is how you pitch either in hackathons, in accelerator to pitch accelerators, to pitch to venture capitalists, to pitch to investors, to pitch your customers even. It's very easy to, these are the minimum points or minimum content you need to have. Okay, so for the business side of things, about the content, about the idea and the project and the solution, the product, it's a business model. How are you going to make money? Okay, your go-to-market strategy. How are you planning to bring the business to the market? Bring the product to the market to become a business. Competitor analysis, investors must and love. It's a must to see this competitor analysis, to know what's your pros and cons over your competitors in the same space. Financial projection, how are you planning to use money? How much you're planning to earn in the upcoming few quarters? Plan milestones, which are what you plan to achieve in the upcoming months or years or quarters. As in how many customers you plan to acquire, how much sales you plan to do, what kind of new features you plan to launch. Okay, that's 10 milestones. Teams, of course, is your team background. So who is the people that will be leading this company, who will run this company? You want qualified people, you want people with relevant background, you don't want to have, example, let's say, biotech startup. You don't want someone who has no experience in biotech leading it. You really want a professor, you really want someone with many years in research background to be leading it. So teams, show your picture, show your name, show your position, your past experience and qualifications. Convince your investors that you are the best team to run this idea. Okay, lastly is fundraising. How much are you planning to raise and how much of equity are you planning to give up to investors? Okay, funding details. So all these I need to go through briefly because of the limited time. I went through very, very detailed in my Sunday iLab talk last week. So I'll share with you a very, very good, even learn more about pitch decks, share with you the golden treasure trove in the whole internet, which is lightning.com. So what they have, they are actually a startup also, very established startup making millions of dollars of revenue. You can check it out. What they have here is the original pitch deck used by Airbnb, used by Slidebean themselves, YouTube, Facebook, but for the exact same content they use to raise millions of dollars of funding. So in the Airbnb here, you can see they use the exact content to pitch the first 600,000 USD of seed funding back in 2009, 10 years ago. Okay. So it has become a reference for startups worldwide because of the simple and straightforward approach to business model and market potential, and as well as to illustrate on the idea of what they've built and the customers, the traction that they have. To convince investors to fund them, we will grow, we will make profit. Okay. So yeah, that's all for pitch deck. Okay. So next. Lastly, this is the last section already, case studies. Okay, on this part, I want to share with you on Grab. So Grab, in everyone's mind, is that very popular, very successful, very sexy startup unicorn that raised billions and billions of dollars in funding. So I can share with you some very recent 2018, 2019, and 2020, how much they've raised every year. So in 2018, they raised 2 billion from Toyota Motors with some other big names. 2 billion USD, that's like 8 million ringgit. Okay. In 2019, they raised 300 million USD from Invesco. In 2020, most recently in February, almost 1 billion here again from Japanese investors. Raise money to expand their business. Okay. So in total, in 29 rounds of funding, shown as Crunchbase, the leading platform for you to get startup information. They've raised a total of 10 billion. Bloody hell, this is like 40 billion ringgit. Okay, they got 40 million ringgit to play with in the past 6-7 years. However, despite all the money that they've raised, okay, all this money from investors that they've raised, I didn't have enough time to get more articles on this. I believe there's more details on there, same as Uber, same as the rest. They are not revenue generating companies. In fact, it's the contrary. Despite 40 million ringgit they've raised, they managed to burn it all. I mean, not burn it all. I mean, whatever they spend, they don't get back enough revenue. But because I think probably the business model, the unit economics, okay, these terms you can search online, unit economics are not right, and therefore they keep on making losses. And in 2018, they estimated, as you can see in the report by Straits Times Singapore news portal, the information company noted that at late 2018, Grab has been internally projecting their own project to have a loss of 1.5 billion, and that bloody hell is 6 billion ringgit of loss. Imagine how many mouths that could feed. Yeah, so the money is just lost. They spend it on engineering, spend it on promotions, expansion, different rolling out different services. So in the end, what that lead to? They lead them to reduce user rewards, to tighten the redemption plan, and that causes a lot of backlash from the users. Okay, and that might cause them to lose users to jump to other platforms. So actually, in startup, it's a very intricate balance. You need to find the balance of user growth as well as revenue. I would say, let me summarize. So in Grab, right, here's an analysis I can share with you. So are they a sexy startup? Yes. Are they disruptive innovation? Yes. Fintech, food delivery, car sharing, so many ways. Fintech. User adoption, yes. Everyone uses it. User growth, yes. They achieve. Huge revenue, yes, of course they have revenue, just that it's not big enough to cover the cost. Are they raising billions? Success, getting headlines for that? Yes, they are. Huge annual profit? No. And huge annual losses? Yes, 6 billion projected. I don't know about the recent amount. I couldn't find it in the short amount that I had. So are they successful? So it depends, up to you. Okay, it depends on you whether what is success to you. So my parting gift is for you is to think what is success, define what success is to you, and run your startup based on that. Is it to raise billions and millions of dollars in funding, in seed fund, angel fund, series A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, while making billions of dollars in losses every year? Or is it making 1,000 ringgit clean profit at the end of the year without funding? So these are two contrasting approach to a startup. Probably the bottom one won't be as innovative as we would like it to be, but yeah, it depends on you. What's your definition for a successful startup? And personally, here's my final advice. My conclusion for this talk is for you to have the correct mindset. Okay, when you go out there, prioritize on solving problems, not to earn big, not to raise an amount of money. Don't be like WeWork. Okay, WeWork raised 40 billion, value at 40 billion or something. Like they caught in a huge problem for bluffing the investors, for raising huge amount of money. The founder spend it on jets, spend it on luxurious properties. Don't have the mind to start a startup just to raise funds. Okay, that is not the right way to go about it. Always be prioritizing the problem to solve. Okay, find the right problem to solve the customer's pain point. After you have the product to do both of that, find the right market for your product to sell in. Okay, then make consistent profit. At the same time, always listen to what your customers want. Okay, this is my parting advice for us tech students that might not have the business know-how. These are the points you need to take note of when you run your own business, when you want to start your own startup. Okay, don't just focus on tech. I know for tech people like us, we love to build the most cutting edge things, the most impressive, most innovative things. Don't always just think of what the thing do or what it's built with. Always think of what value it delivers to the customer. It can be for example, let's say this is a watch. It is a very cutting edge touchscreen watch, but that's not enough for you to entice the user. Sometimes you need to tell marketing as in what value it brings to the user. It makes you more health conscious, makes you more healthy, paints a vision in their head that it can help them become more healthy, more successful, or more helps them solve certain problems in life, what kind of value the product brings to the user. Okay, so that's all from my talk today, and I'll be opening the questions to the floor Q&A. So if you want to keep in touch with me, my name on Facebook is Daren Tan, here's my Instagram, here's my LinkedIn. Feel free to PM me anytime at all to seek advice. Okay, thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Daren. Does anyone have any questions? I'm just going to share my feedback screen so that you can put in the feedback for this talk. So please fill out the feedback form. Maybe I have a question, Daren.
Sure.
Just a quick question before you go, because I think you're very hungry, right?
I'm fine.
No, well, you mentioned that most of our students here are tech students, but how important is it for them to make friends with business students in order to have a tech startup?
I would say that, let's say, of course, having friends is good. You know why? Actually, one of the main reasons why people want to go study in MIT, in Harvard, in prestigious universities, it's not because of the main reason is not because of the content or the prestigiousness of it. That may be the secondary reason, but the main reason why there's many dropouts, many successful startup funders from those top scholars, top universities in the US is because of connections. They go there because they can make friends. They can sit next to the who's who children that's in the top most successful, knowledgeable, or even most connected people in US. So I would say that to make friends in all sorts of industry, no matter it's sales, no matter it's people, the Grab driver that fetches you, it's good to make connections. You never know what you will get.
Yes, thank you. That's a very, very good point. There's a question here.
Yes.
On the chat from Yifu. Right? Yeah.
Yep. Let's see. Do startup use loans? Why go for VC funding instead? Good question. So actually, to get loans, you can go for banks. So banks, banks are very steady one. They want to have solid proof of income, solid proof. Depending on you want to borrow under your own name, personal loan, or you want to borrow under your company, Sdn Bhd. Because if anything goes wrong, the difference between these two is that if you go bankrupt, you owe the bank money in Sdn Bhd, right? You borrow the loan under Sdn Bhd. Your company goes bankrupt, but not you. You as an individual, you're not bankrupt, but your company is, if I'm not mistaken, okay. So that's the difference between Sdn Bhd loan and your own loan, company loan, and your own personal loan. But to get loans from banks is really, really hard. For individual loan, you need a steady income statement, proof of income, and consistent repay of debt or credit card spending to build your income credit score to get loans. One. For company, you need to show consistent revenue and profit. To have solid track of revenue and profit. So it is very hard to get loans from banks. So that's why startups usually go for VC funding. Okay, VC fundings are very common. You can see many wealthy people, many wealthy venture capitalist firms, they will invest millions of dollars in startups. Perhaps maybe you can start from a few $100K or a few tens of K up to a few $100 million. VC funding is where you give out equity, your company share. I say 100%, you can give out small percentages or 10, 20% for exchange in return for an amount of money, so that in the future rounds, round A, B, C, D, E, F, G, as your valuation increase. So let's say the next round you are giving out 10%. The first round 10% is equal to 100K, but the next round maybe you've grown a lot. Your 10% is worth a lot more, right? So let's say the next one is 1 million. And I'm too optimistic. Let's say 200K. Your seed A, your next round is twice the value of the previous round. So for 10%, the first round 10% for 100K, it means your value at $1 million. Your start is value at $1 million. So while the next round, in the next seed, in the next fund, 200K for 10%. So it doubled already. Your valuation is at 2 million. Your startup is worth 2 million. So the previous investor, the previous VC, can just sell off their stake, the 10%, to the future buyers who wants to buy a stake in a startup. So from there, right, what they invested 100K. they receive 200K, so they get clean 100% profit from investing in you. So that's how VC works in essence. Of course, there's a lot more complexity underneath the legality, the different types of shares, preferred shares, and a lot of other shares. I shared that in Developer Kaki. In Developer Kaki, I not only share tech knowledge, I do share about non-tech knowledge as I've shared today. So yeah, you need to learn out a lot more on VC, read up clearly. As a tech guy, you need to read up very clearly on what is VC, how it works, and all the legalities behind it, so you don't get in trouble. Okay, next question I see from Kiran. Any other websites like Javelin? Not that I know of, but you can always search around MVP, around Lean Startup method, platform, or idea validation. These 3 keywords you can search in Google. Maybe you can find some others. So far, I'm not sure of any other platforms like Javelin. Okay, next question. Thank you. Okay, very welcome. helplife.edu.my. Question 1, how do we identify a good connection? You basically don't, I would say. You don't know if you get a good connection, but of course, if you follow friends on Facebook, on Instagram, on wherever, they could, or the LinkedIn. I think LinkedIn is a very good place to find. So LinkedIn, you see most people, they share legit infos, legit sharing of things, more formal sharing of things, to know what background they have. So you can see quite transparently what kind of connections they are. However, for me, a better advice, although technically usually we are very introvert, it would be great to just talk to anybody. I know it's hard, I know it's a bit shy. I was very shy last time. So at events, just talk to random people, say hi, learn to do small talk, learn to say hi, exchange name card, exchange phone numbers, exchange WeChat. Just this is more like keeping as much connection as you can, but in the end, there might be some super valuable connections. Okay. Next, is the recording available? I think it might be available. You'll speak to your lecturer on this. Next, may I know, Rachel Lim, may I know where do startup promote their app to potential users? Okay. Where do startups promote? Yes, correct. So if you have a landing page or you have an idea, if you have an idea and a website landing page, it's not enough. It's definitely not enough. Hold on a minute. My camera wasn't turned on. So sad. Okay, so to promote your app to a potential user, very easy. So let's say you're doing, as an example, you do a healthy food. So let's say healthy food, right? You want to, of course, not promote in car groups. You won't want to promote in random groups. You want to promote in either Facebook groups that are related. Let's say gym goers, KL gym goers, Penang gym goers, Johor gym goers. There are groups out there. You need to find the right groups. That's where you promote your product, your landing page. Okay. Where else you can promote to run Facebook, Google Ads? They will target the right segment of customers for you. Else you can always physically promote it. You can go to the gym, you can go to the offices around you, nearby you, to just distribute flyers and promote. So the main thing here is to find the right places to promote. If not, you promote in the wrong groups, in the wrong places, you won't get any interest. Trust me. Tip, fun, suggestion, and recommendation. I do. Let me quickly search on my Chrome and give you. Yeah, when picture. Okay, got it. I got it in my history. Very good. Okay. So share screen again. Desktop window. Venture capitalist. Okay. So I think you guys can see. The screen now. So this is Venture Capitalist Malaysia 2020. You can search in Google. On this Venture Capitalist Malaysia. You can find out a lot of results, but this is the best and updated list I've come across. So here's a big list, a long list of venture capitalist firms that you can approach in Malaysia. Okay. So yeah, there are different categories. Okay. So if you're raising for early stage, very early stage, don't even have product, don't have MVP yet, perhaps, or maybe you have some customers, you can approach these companies which are based in Malaysia. Okay. Next, if you are late stage, you're looking for late stage investment, you're not your first round, more than 1 million funding, USD. These are the lists of funds you can approach. Okay, so this is the list. Remember the URL. And other than that, accelerators, SciTech, of course, Magic, my office right here. We have our flagship accelerator program as well. We don't provide funding, unfortunately, but we do provide a lot of things other than funding, which are like capacity building programs to help you build your startup as well as investors demo day. Okay, so there's a lot of private government side accelerators, there are private side accelerators, there are corporate side accelerators, Summit iLabs, Tune Labs, Hong Kong Accelerator. Okay, so next question, I think related, is what funds and scheme that provides funding? What funds and scheme in Malaysia still provide funding towards young Malaysian startup founders? Does Cradle Magic still actively give out financing to this date? Okay, so to answer your question, here's the list of government grants in Malaysia for early stage startups. So the difference between grants and investments, right? Grants doesn't take any of your equity, doesn't take any of your share. Okay, so what it takes is they just evaluate. Basically, it's what government want to give out to the society. Okay, so they, of course, it's a high selection criteria. I personally pitched myself for the PQA startup at Cradle at Subway Putra Mall. If you're not getting it, unfortunately. However, those that we get in are really quality startups. They get huge amount of money. Remember that CIP 100, CIP 50, CIP 500. 500 means 500K. So Cradle recently, I think last week, they launched new funds targeting young entrepreneurs, exactly young entrepreneurs. I believe it's called Cradle Ignite, something like that. I'm not entirely clear. I can quickly search for you. Cradle Ignite. Yes, this one. Let's go for welcome post. So Cradle launched 2 new grants last week on June 19, which is the Cradle program CIP Ignite and CIP Accelerate. Okay, so it's targeted for different audiences. CIP Ignite for deep tech audience, helping early stage technology startups such as or even SMEs or spin-off companies from universities, research institutes. So it's targeted for students. So don't worry, if you have something that's really good, AI, blockchain, machine learning, whatever, something that's super cool, and of course, having all this demand validated, if you bring what I taught you today, the statistics, the data, bring it over to them, you will get better chances of being approved. Okay, compared to people without statistics, without the MVP. So that's Ignite. Accelerate is for different segments. It's provide funding up to 2 million ringgit. Bloody hell. This is my first time reading this article, by the way. It's focused on accelerating growth of deep tech startups. So people have already start to run a company, already start running. Okay. So these are 2 new funds targeted for universities, deep tech university students and above. Okay. The definition of deep tech, you can search on it. It's a huge thing last week for this. Does not give out financing. Okay, Magic only provide capacity building programs, which are capacity building programs such as workshops, classes, trainings, boot camps, accelerators. Capacity building meaning equip entrepreneurs, startups with the right knowledge so that they will not be so likely to fail. Okay. Next, preferred shares remind me of Google already. True. Those fan companies in the US, they do give out to all their staff, that give out shares of the company in addition to salary and bonuses. Okay, I think I will stop with 3 more questions. So, okay, next one, Hafiz. Thanks for sharing the information. As mentioned, before we can make a startup by localizing a product that was hugely used by other states, how do we compete with their product for our localized startup? So in your question, you already have the keyword localized startup. So sometimes in China, I lived in China for 4 months. There's a lot of things going on there, I tell you. For those of you who are listening, please take note. In China, in 2018, back then, I went there for 4 months, lived there fully, didn't come back to Malaysia. When I came back, I felt I traveled back 15 years behind in time. I traveled back to the past 15 years. The things they have in there, I can't read Chinese, so it's a bit of a disadvantage for me, but try your best to go and observe China. No doubt that in addition to US, of course, China is leading the war, the progression of technology in the world. The AIs, the machine learning, the things they do there is really amazing. the e-wallet adoption at 100% rate. You can't imagine how things work without cash there. I got discriminated for using cash in China because as the outsider, I cannot use their e-wallet back then. Now you can. So things are super advanced there. Things are connected as hell. You can print out tickets there's multiple ways for you to buy the train tickets, high-speed rail train tickets. It's just so connected, all the data. By the way, banks in China are facing huge problem because of e-wallet. Everyone uses e-wallet instead of banks, so banks don't have the amount of money to operate anymore. The fund they hold in the bank is lesser and lesser, while those money that were previously in the banks are now in the e-wallet companies. So banks are facing huge competition in China. So yes, back to your story, how to compete with the giant product. So that's the reason why in China, although they are very successful in, let's say, food delivery, in logistics, especially logistics is amazing there, e-commerce. They're the largest market in the world for e-commerce, both locally and worldwide. They're huge spenders. You should have seen the live stream, how they sell lipsticks, right? I believe my girlfriend shared with me before, 2 million lipsticks sold in a matter of minutes. It's a guy testing out lipstick on his lips, live streaming a new product, reviewing a lipstick. But through that live streaming platform, he managed to do sales, send out to do 2 million, or let's say 2 million worth of sales of lipstick. So it could be equal to maybe 500,000 sticks of lipstick to be sent out in the next 1 week or 2 weeks. They managed to do all that scalable tech they have. So things might work there because it works over there, but things might not work locally. You must understand what works for the Malaysian market. Maybe Malaysia not ready for the live stream market yet, but of course right now it's picking up. We see fish being sold, live stream, Facebook auction, durian being like Facebook auction. Things are starting to pick up here, but in China it's already done like 5, 10, 6 years ago. So you have to understand your market, the local market. You must know what, sometimes Malaysia might prefer certain things or certain methods of purchasing things or certain methods of doing things compared to what has been done in other countries. So you as a local, you have the advantage of knowing how to pivot how to build your startup around that. Next, Arif, how do you determine a minimum viable product? Where should I start? If you have joined my talk, if you can view the recording, I've mentioned how you can build your MVP. You can always start by customer interview. Okay, you have an idea, you think of your idea in detail already, you propose or pitch the idea to your customer through a video call or online call, then you will know what's their feedback. That's the first level of MVP. Okay, for more information, please view the recording. Okay, done. Final question. Rachel Lim, for online marketplace app, where is the best platform to promote? So I need to know what kind of marketplace, what's the difference between your platform and Shopee and Lazada? So you need to find out your niche. So if you're saying a general online marketplace, a new marketplace that potentially could have certain areas better than Shopee and Lazada, promote in every Facebook group actually, I would say. Since you have no niche, right, just promote in any Facebook group. The more members they have in there, the better, because once you post in the group, it will appear in many people's Facebook groups. Okay. Yeah, that's about it. That's all for me. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Daren. Good night, everyone. And don't forget to fill out my feedback form.
Okay, good luck, everyone.
Good night. Thank you.